I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, and remember my parents telling me I spent my childhood looking to help people. I was never much of an asset around the house as a kindergartner, but would keep checking to see if there was something I could do. I think I really began to develop this in middle school when I joined Youth Serve and began to fill my weekends with community service. My dad worked for a nonprofit aiming to restore Birmingham through asset-based community development and would bring my sisters and I along to help restore old buildings for new purposes. One project I remember was repainting an abandoned building downtown to create a community pantry supplied by local farms. I always looked up to the older kids doing this work because it was something they were passionate about. From there, I kept looking for other opportunities, ways to connect community initiatives I was passionate about to student directors of service and outreach at our school for programs such as Development Day or other leadership opportunities such as Youth Leadership Forum, where we connected with community members focused on initiatives such as social justice, urban development, food security, and community engagement. Here I met with other passionate people as we learned about the ways which these skills and interests can be used in our community. When I first came to Sewanee, I lived in fear to an extent I have since overcome. I was nervous to go to Clerg, to class, to Bonner meetings, with no real reason why. I had close friends in all these public spaces, making it even more confusing to myself as to why I felt this way. I constantly felt like spaces I occupied were not mine. I was too scared to join other clubs or organizations because I felt a sense of imposter syndrome. I never felt passionate enough or good at something to risk creating an identity around it. This is when Bonner really saved me. Without it, I would not have had a club or a group to meet anyone outside of my classes or dorm. I especially loved connecting with our communities off campus, as it gave me a nice escape from the mountain and all the responsibilities with it. As I grappled with a lack of specific passion or interest to define myself by, I continued to immerse myself in my Bonner work, not realizing this community work was my niche. This year, reflecting on civic engagement and identity, I am learning what it is that makes me happier today. Sure, a large part is the growth and inherent changes that come with, such as finding my people, other interests or clubs, and establishing routines that keep me from feeling smothered or isolated. But a big part has been finding out who I am, not just in spite of, but through my community classes, work, and environment. I owe a lot of this to my courses and work, which have helped me to step outside of myself and see where I fit in the world, rather than the one I imagined and lived in fear of. It is hard to attribute this to a specific turning point. I could say it was spending a semester abroad in Spain, and that would be true. I could say it was coming back and reintegrating into campus life, and that would also be true. I could also say it was living in the Bairnwick Women's Center and taking classes that were important to me, and that would be true. I changed a lot throughout my 4 years here as I grew in the place I once feared was not for me. This year is when everything began to really click. Through Dr. Patterson's capstone course on civic engagement and global leadership, I continued to develop the ability to name my strengths and passions, and how I can incorporate them into my life post-graduation. I mean this in regards to career and personal development. Career-wise, I finally have a sense of the types of jobs I'm looking for. As a politics major with a fear of formal politics, this was a big question mark for me, and when people asked about my future, I tended to shut down. Now I can confidently answer that I'm looking for a job focused on community engagement and a position that would allow me to build, expand, and maintain networks of relationships. I'm very passionate about my site CORE, a mentoring program for the 7th and 8th grade girls of South Pittsburgh High School, as I know children are our future, and the people and messages they interact with have such an important impact. I know the work I do once a week for an hour with each group has an impact beyond what I can imagine. I am grateful for my current uncertainty for the future. I don't know where I'll end up after May 10th, but I'm excited and relishing in the unknown thanks to the skills, confidence, and investment in my own life the past 4 years at Sewanee have helped instill in me.